Hey guys, it's April. Here is the box file that I told you guys that I was going to get for you, and I am working on it. And I'm going to show you guys how this box goes together. These are your lid pieces, and they have no markings on them. They are just in the file. You're going to have two long side pieces and two short ones. Then you're going to have a very small piece, and then you're going to have a top and bottom piece that are the same size. And then your outside pieces are marked. Of course, this is an outside piece, and then the other has like a O. You can't see it on mine because it's extremely faint. I had tape over it, so I wrote it with a light colored pen with that one marked. You can see this really faint O. You can move that O down to the middle of the file, but you'll be able to tell because there's only two this size, and that would be for the base of the box, and then the base of the box is larger than the inside. And then of course you have your pieces. I was able to cut this, all of these pieces here are my inside of the box pieces for both the inside and the outside box piece. And you guys will know what I mean by that as you get into the file and start making it and follow along with the video. So that's this, and I got it out of one sheet of 12 by 12 paper. And then this is the exterior of the inside box. This box slides into a sleeve, and that's what I'm calling the outside of the box. So just half a sheet of paper, just over half a sheet of paper is all I needed for those pieces. And those are my decorative pieces for that. And then I have my decorative pieces for the outside of the outer box. And then out of one 12 by 12 sheet, I was able to get the hinge pieces for the inner box. And I did need a 12 by 24 sheet to get the hinge cut for the, that piece doesn't belong on there, for the outer box. So you may have to, there's a little tick, I'll try to fix that a little bit better in the file, but if it just hangs on, all you need to do is pull that piece out because you don't need it. So let's go ahead and get started making the box. I'm going to set these to the side. I'm going to gather my glue and my supplies that I'm going to need, my scraper, and I'll be back with you guys and we'll start assembling this box. Okay, I've gathered up my glue. I still forgot my scraper. You're just going to want something to help you smooth out the glue and get a nice even coat. It's kind of messy. It's got glue on it and stuff, but that's what I use. I am going to be using art glitter glue. I sell this in my store, craftingwithapril.co, in case any of you guys want it. And I am going to have to refer back to my file because I set this file up a couple of weeks ago and I just hadn't had time to cut it. And so I have to refer back to my notes as I look at this and figure out how I had it laid out for you guys. This took 1 hour to cut with the chipboard. I am going to be putting the textured part of my cardstock to the inside so it doesn't show or get fuzzy, and the smooth side to the out. You're going to start with an outer piece, which is marked with the O, and this is going to be like your side piece. There are some score marks on here, or there were, I think. Let me check. Let me ungroup those. And let's just go back over here. Okay, I am looking at my design space and let me ungroup. All of a sudden I have a design space plugin error for some reason and I'm not even doing anything. it won't allow me to select. There we go. Get those pieces out of the way and ungroup that. All of my lines are disappearing. Okay, guys, anyway, you're going to line this up in here. I'm just going to lay them out for now. Let me restart my design space because it is giving me an issue for whatever reason. They must have just done an update or something. But this did take 1 hour to cut with the chipboard in it. The outer pieces only took a few minutes, and I still have to see how this is laid out before I can tell you guys which way to glue this, because I don't want you gluing it incorrectly. Okay, there we go, ungroup. I don't know what that was about. We did have a thunderstorm earlier, and another wave came through, so that might be affecting me. There we go. All right, now I can see how I laid it out. There we go. I'm going to start actually right here where this cut is on this end of the paper. You are not going to glue this end at all. And there are no score marks on this, and there's a reason, because you may have to adjust. This piece is going to glue in here. And you're just going to make sure that you have it on straight like this, okay? So that you're going to fold this up on the other end to make your box. So don't glue this, but you'll want to glue this piece down and then fold these pieces in and over, and then you can fold this piece here over. And then we're going to put the next pieces on. You're going to go with the smaller piece, keeping it in line. You're going to use a piece of scrap to make sure that you have the correct width and that it's spaced correctly, like so. If I can get my fingers to work here, I apologize. I've got a bow in that. Let me just, there we go. You're just going to make sure that you get this piece on first and it's in the correct spot. Then you're going to use a piece of this. You're going to line this up, and it needs to be even on the sides as well. Then you're going to put the next piece like this, and then the final piece here at the top. And I will show you that as we go along. I'm just going to go ahead and glue this piece up. And I am using a liberal amount of glue. I am not being stingy with it. Get these out of my way. And then I am just going to line that up in there and get it on there straight. That looks good. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to rub and burnish and get that glue distributed. And then I'm just going to run a bead of glue right down on the inside here and glue up that tip. Just going to fold it over. Get a nice crisp edge on it. I don't have a very teeny tiny, oh yes I do, there it is. I'll get my small one and just go in there and rub that down on that edge. Make it good and crisp and clean. And I'm just going to run a bead right on top here. And I'm just going to wrap that piece around nice and snug. My scraper won't fit in there. I wanted, this was Pinterest inspired. I saw a little jewelry box. I don't know if there was a bracelet, necklace, whatever in it. I just saw it and I was like, I would like to recreate that. So I made it a little, I made it my own dimensions, but it's still the same shape as what theirs was. That glue, let it squish out a little bit. It's okay. Good rub on it. And then I'm just going to place a bead here. And I am winging this, guys. I have not practiced this file. I am just going to go with what I know here. And if I make mistakes, then I'll correct it, and you guys won't have to make it. I'll just let that down. I'm just going to let that dry. Any little tips that you have, just like we did on previous boxes, I'm just going to cover that so it doesn't show later with some black Copic marker. You can use a Sharpie, you can use anything. Again, do not glue this side. Do not glue it. Don't glue this side yet. We'll wait until we're ready to work with the rest of it. And don't glue this piece yet. So now we're going to get our next little side piece. This is the top of the box right here that we just did. That's the top. And I need a piece of scrap to make sure I get. I'm just going to use the side piece and make sure that I get that in there. A little bit of glue smears on the inside, it's not going to hurt anything. Just want to make sure you have that one width in there and that it's the same on the edges. And that's all we want to do to that. Give it a rub on the back, distribute the glue so that it's nice and smooth. And now this piece is going to go on short side. Should match up. It should be the same width. You don't want to put it on like this. That's not right. And then we're just going to glue up the back. And I said, don't put it that way. And then what did I do? I dropped it down that way. It's okay. And take the end piece and just make sure that I get that butted right up against, nice and snug. Make sure my edges are even. I am going to actually take a full sheet and just make sure that I'm even all the way down. That's what you want. And it's good. Little trinket box. I haven't even decided what to call it yet. I'm going to just turn it here. And that piece will go in there. I put lotion on my hands a while ago and I've got little lotion marks all over my chipboard. But it'll be okay. Nobody's going to see it. It's going to get covered anyway. And then I'm using a scrap piece. Again, make sure that I have that width. Get that moved over. And I don't think I came down my paper straight. It doesn't appear that I did. I'm a little off down here. So you'll need to watch that. I'm a little wider over here than I am here, so it means I came in at an angle, but I think it's going to be okay. You guys just watch and make sure that you get it level. I might add a score line down here so that it stays straight. You have something to go by. That way you won't have to worry with it like I did. Now I'm just going to kind of work my paper and make sure that that goes down straight here. I want to make sure I get a good clean bend on that. Same thing here. You don't want them to overlap. You want them to fold in nicely, creating that square. And down here on this end as well. And do I want to do this one first? I think that I do. I think I did not put this in the file because I wanted to be able to do this actually by hand, because you don't know where you're going to land. It's going to depend on how much your chipboard expands for your humidity as to where it's going to land. As far as the straight line goes, I can do that. I can fix that for you guys. But I'm just notching it out at each one of these. Sections. I'm going to do that on both sides. And it doesn't have to be exact. There are ways to work around it. But get it as close as you can. And now I'm going to glue these over just like we did here, all the way down on both sides. So you guys do that. I'm not going to keep you hanging here while I do this. We are just repeating the same step that we did here all the way around, except this end. Do not put any glue on this end and don't do anything with it, and we'll come back and finish it up together. Okay guys, I'm back. That took me about 4 minutes. Not too bad to put that all the way down. It's still drying. You can still see it's still wet. I still have glue. But next we're going to, you have 3 of these hinge pieces. And you are going to fold those in the direction your cardstock is going. Mine is, my textured side is to the inside. Glue on my fingers. So I am mountain folding with the textured outside. All 3 pieces. I'm just going to get those a little rub. Give it a good crease. And then those, you're going to measure them and make sure they do not stick out on the edges. You do not want it to stick out on either side. And then you're going to just glue them with that valley right there at that hinge. So let's just, this one did not need to be trimmed. If yours needs to be trimmed, just snip off a little bit of the edge. It won't hurt anything. It doesn't have to be perfect or exact or even or any of that stuff. It's very forgiving file. We're going to be covering most of this up with pretty paper. So, and you're going to repeat on these 2. I didn't check my size. Pretty sure that it'll fit since the other one did. Slide it slightly. Chipboard falling in my way. Just double check this one. For some reason that just looks off to me. Maybe I can make it work. And that is the right width. All of these are the same size. And just want to, actually, I just goofed up. I hope you guys are not following along. You need to close it and then put it in there. I hope I can get those to close. I may have to pull them off and cut some more. These are your hinges to pull it up with. Do not do as I do. Say, do as. Don't do as I do, do as I say. Don't put these on yet. I'm going to cut 2 more and I'll be right back. This is what happens when I make a file and I don't cut it right away. I end up with boo-boos. But I'm just going to cut a couple of strips. They don't have, like I said, they don't have to be exact. I'm just going to cut it off the ends of the paper that I had going here, because I can trim it up. Yours will be perfect. Mine won't be perfect. Let me start over with that. Let's see. Let me grab my trimmer. Let's do it that way. Okay. Another pinch one. Here's one. That's not wide enough. See, I still make goof ups all the time. I should do it. Okay. Just need them, yeah, they don't need to be very wide. I don't know, about 1 inch. That's good. And I'm just going to fold it right down the middle, like so. And then I am going to, on one end, snip it, just so I have a little point. And then bring it down here. And snip that. Let's see. I can take another little bit off here. And there we go. So now I have a template on that one. Just going to snip this piece, fold it in half. And I folded it off. My score is off. Well, I don't have a score, that's fine. It'll be all right too. I'm going to sandwich it in there and just trim it at the same spot. Now let's try that again. I want the textured outside. Bring your box up, get that hinge in there, and then you're going to put it in. I can't, let's see, step this way so you guys can see. Fold it up, get it good and square, and then you're going to put that hinge in there. You're going to pull this up. I knew when I was putting that down it was just a little too easy. And get it good and square. Yours should probably fold a little bit easier because I have a little bit of paper residue in my way. I got most of it out. And then same thing here. You're going to fold this one. This one's going to be a little tougher to get in, but you can do it. Just get it a good hinge fold in there. Oops. Let that one dry first. I'm going to hold that for a second and let it dry while I work on this other side. There we go. Just let it dry for a second. I'm just going to run a bead of glue right in the corner on this since it's going to be hard to get to. If you can see that, I just ran a bead of glue in there. Just end to end. I'm going to put that way. We're going to pull that in together, so don't worry about if it relaxes a little bit. It's okay. As long as you know it will closure up. So I'm going to do one side, get it in place. Then I'm going to fold this up, get it into place, and then press down the center. You get your bone folder, something of that nature in there on both sides. Just kind of keep it square. Get that pressed down. Just so you've got a good square right there. Okay. And now before I close up this end, I am going to let this dry just a little bit. I am going to put my inside pieces in before I go any further, before I close up this end, because I don't want it to be super, super hard to get to. Okay, and then when we get those in, we're going to line this side up, and then we're going to closure this tab down, and that's going to hold it in place. And then we'll be ready to put our outside panels on this part, and that will finish the outer part of the box. So while this is drying, I'm not going to let you guys sit here and watch glue dry. So let it dry, and then go ahead and work in your interior decorative pieces, and that will finish off the box. Put on your outside panels, and then you can let this dry, and we'll be back and start the inside. Hey guys, I forgot to tell you, I started putting mine in. All of my corners are actually looking pretty good. A little bit of glue there, which I will clean up later with my glue eraser. But as far as the corners go, like right here, you want to take your Copics or your Sharpies at this point and kind of cover those. Anywhere that your decorative paper is not going to cover, just so they don't show and they make your corners nice and sharp and crisp. I've got only one that I wasn't really happy with, and that was because I didn't have the line on the paper. That's right here. But I think most of that's going to be covered when I wrap this piece over. Had I got it on there straight, it wouldn't be that much showing. But I'm just going to, for insurance, before I start to try to glue down, because I don't want to get black Copic marker on my lighter color paper. So I'm going to cover those corners now at this point. So if you're worried about yours showing any of that, go ahead and cover it at this point to make sure that you got everything looking nice and sharp. And you're just going to use the same color or close to the same color marker that your base paper is, just so it doesn't show. So now I've got one panel in. I'm going to put my other panel in, and you can tell the difference on what's for the interior box because one is wider and shorter. And these go for that's the inside of the end of the boxes. Yeah, the ones that are for the inside are narrower for the inside part of the box. And of course, that's going to be for the top, inside, in here. And then your base panel is going to be bigger. If you cut them out of the same paper like I did, you can swap those up in the file if you want. The biggest one is for the inside of the base. So you're just going to glue those pieces in, and then we're going to come back and glue this edge over, and I'll be back with you to do that. Okay guys, I did get my decorative paper on, and I forgot to do this edge, but I don't believe it's going to show very much. It's going to be on the underneath side of the top of the lid. So before you put this decorative piece on, go ahead and color that edge right there on that paper, because that's the one that doesn't get the inside hinge. This hinge is going to be to the outside. So, but if you look in there, it's hardly going to show. Probably if I hadn't put the black on there, it wouldn't show at all because it's pretty tight. You just got a couple of little edges that are going to show in there. And that's just to pretty it up if they pick up the box without the inner box inside it. So once you have all that in there, you're going to sit this piece on top of your chipboard here. So I'm going to run a bead of glue right there. And I am going to line my box up, making sure I've got a tight corner on both sides. And I'm going to hold it there. And then I am going to put glue on this tab. This is the tab I said don't glue yet. And this is why, because this is where we glue this. And then I'm just going to bring it in. Don't worry about any glue squishing out and getting on there and looking all yucky. We're going to cover that with pretty paper. Just pull it as tight as you can possibly get it. Give it a good rub. Distribute that glue so ends don't peel up. And now we're ready to put the decorative pieces on the outside. You're going to have one small decorative piece that you're not going to use yet. You're going to set that to the side. That's for later. And then go ahead and put your panels on in the order you want. If you used a pattern paper, if you've got any glue on the edges or something like that that's showing, go ahead and clean that up and get it ready, because putting these panels on finishes this up. I'm going to get my glue eraser and get, because we all know I'm a messy gluer, get the glue off the places on mine, and then we'll come back and start the inner box that goes into this. Okay guys, I am putting on my last strip of decorative paper. And I think I'm going to go that way with that. And that will finish up the outer portion of this box. And in case anybody is wondering, I did use the 12 by 24 base paper that was Cricut 12 by 24 black cardstock on this. I used the cream cardstock on the inner. I did use Cricut Cricut chipboard. And this is the Rose Medley paper pack by Anna Griffin and Cricut. So just in case you're wondering, this is the pack for that. Also available at Cricut. And then we have the outside of our box. And the way that that other box is going to go in is we're going to build it. It will have a lid that actually lifts off of it, but when the lid is on it, it's going to slide in here, and we can put a saying or anything on top of that, and you'll see that as we get started with it. So let's let me kind of clean up my little area here with all my paper strips, and we'll get started on that piece. And here we're going to need all the cream colored pieces and the rest of our chipboard, with the exception of the little piece. We're going to set that to the side. And again, I'm putting my textured to the inside. And on this one, let me refer to my notes just to make sure that I get this correct. Okay. This piece is going to go right in the center, and I do not have that scored. It is going to sit directly in the center. I will try to score this for you guys, but it really is going to depend on how much your chipboard swells. So it won't be exact even if I get it in there. You're still going to need to eyeball it. And so we're just going to glue up this center piece. And it looks pretty good. I got glue all over my fingers. I'm a messy gluer. And I'm just going to spread that glue out. And then you have your short pieces. I believe yes, they should be slightly longer than the centerpiece. And then you have your side pieces, and they should be exactly the same. I didn't get a really good cut right there for some reason. I think my blade is dulling. Let me trim that off. And I'm just trimming off that rough little piece right there where I didn't get quite a good cut. My blade got stuck at one point, and I had to. It told me on screen what to do, and I just did it, and it was fine. I did what they told me. I didn't unload it. I just pulled the debris out and then hit go again. But this is the way that this will lay out. These pieces will be even at the top and at the bottom with the sides here. These pieces will not. They're going to overlap just a little bit, and that's so that when we make our corner, it butts up like this. So this piece will be to the outside and cover the edge here, if that makes sense to you guys. If any of you made that other box, then you know what I mean by when we fold it up, this being to the inside. So it's going to essentially go together just like this. And then the side pieces will be inside the end pieces. So that's where you want to go from there. So let's go ahead, and you're just going to have to eyeball this one and just leave that little bit of an edge on each side. And I'll show you how I'm doing that. Don't want to leave any of you guys that have never put one of these together or a box together with the chipboard, so that you know the process. And again, I'm going to take my side piece, or you can use a scrap, and just make sure that that's the only width you want there. Whatever the width of your chipboard, whatever it's acclimated to. And just make sure you can get it in there. And I've just eyeballed it to make sure that I have a little overhang on both sides. And I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm just going to flip it over and give both of them a good rub. Distribute the glue. And now we're going to do the same thing with the side piece. Drop the glue. Dust from these pieces. And you're not going to be able to get a long strip in there, but you can use the lid portion and get it in there just to make sure that you've got it butted up against there like it needs to be. And like I said, you want to make sure that this is even with that edge. If it's even at one end, it's going to be even at the other end, so you should be okay. And now we're going to do this side, same way. one down. Now I should be able to get this even. And then I'm just going to flip it over and distribute my glue. And you may see some little lumps or bumps of glue and stuff like that, like this. Trust me, when it dries, that's all going to suction up and be in there. Just make sure that you do distribute it by giving it a rub so that as it soaks in and adheres, because it will suction in, that it's just nice and smooth. So the little lumps and bumps are not going to matter right now at this point. And now you just want to bend up your sides. You don't want to tear your paper on the back. Just get them to where they bend up to the outside of that piece. They stay outside and not sitting on top, but they're nice and snug. Just give them a bend all the way around. Looks good. These two pieces we sit to the side for right now. And you're going to, you can start with either side. You're going to pull this up. Actually, let's roll these pieces over first. So let's just go ahead and kind of get a little bend on them. Get them going. And then I'm just going to run a bead of glue right on top of my chipboard and right along the edge of the cardstock. You don't have much to work with here. You don't need it. It's just going to be an edge cover. Gotta get good and sticky. Rub down. Glue stuck to me. Now I'm picking up all the sawdust off of this chipboard. Get a nice little edge on it, just like that. Go ahead and do this side too. Roll it over. Let it start getting sticky. I apologize. My husband is calling me. Let me just answer that real quick, guys. I just want to make sure this glue gets stuck. And I'll be right back with you guys. I apologize for that interruption, guys. My husband works out of state, and he went to Texas yesterday, probably for a year, maybe two. So I'll have to be making some trips out there since they work 7 days a week and get one off every couple of weeks. Then I'll be able to. I'll have to go see him. He won't be able to come home. But anyway, we folded these sides in, and now we have this end. We're going to do the same thing on both ends. Get those done. I'm just going to get all my folding over. And I'm just doing that to help me get it folded over and keep it tight and crisp to give me a fold line. Because it's going to depend on how you place that first piece. Just like when we did the other box, those of you who did that one. I could put the score lines and stuff on there, but even it's going to depend on how your chipboard acclimates, how much it swells up, and it's going to do that depending on the humidity in your area. So every box is going to end up being different. just depending on that placement alone. And this will allow you to get that score line that we're not actually putting in the file. Let's put a little squirt of glue on this side. Get that nice crisp edge. I did go and wash my hands while I was talking to my husband, get some of that glue off, and here I am getting it right back on me. Okay, and while that one is drying up, we'll work on this end. And you're going to fold in that corner, and then this is going to butt up, and I am going to run just a bead of glue just along this edge, just to kind of help me pull this together. And then I'm going to glue up this tab. A little bead there too. I'm going to pull this in and keep it square right here and fold this over and pull it in tight. As tight as you can get it. So you don't want that. You want that piece of paper in there pulling that tight. I'm just going to fold that up so I can sit it like I need it to sit. Pull this in. Nice and tight. And then we're going to do the same thing on this end. You're just going to work your way around doing all 4 corners the same way. Keeping it to the inside of that piece. Just gonna pull this in tight. And my corner right here is just a little bit of paper hanging off. I'm just going to trim that off. That glue. And now the other side. This is going to, on this here. Something on that paper. I really need to clean the glue off of my mat. I already put my glue in there. No, I did not. I'm just going to shoot a little bit in that seam on the inside there. There we go. Just so I can get it to pull in. This one should be the easiest one to do because the others are already pulled in for you. Just pull that paper tight. That one looks pretty good. You just got a bulk of paper sticking out. Just trim it off. Carefully trim it off. You don't want to damage the corner. Smooth. Now, if you have any, at this point, if you have any corners like this showing, like we did with the other box, I'm going to grab my paint real quick. I don't have, you can use a Q-tip, paintbrush, anything like that. Because this is white or cream color, I'm just going to use some ivory paint. Because I don't have a marker that color that's opaque. So just whatever you have close to the color of your base cardstock. And just pretty up those chipboard corners. Just to make them blend in and be pretty. Okay, I'm going to let that sit and dry for just a second while I wash out my paintbrush, and I'll be right back with you guys, and we'll do the lid portion, or finish up this portion of the box, and then we'll do the lid that goes on that. Okay, I am back. Had a little smear of glue. I just used a wipe. I finally found my wipes, so I don't have to keep getting glue all over me. I got that little drip of glue I had going out. I'm going to let this sit and dry for a second, and I am going to work with these couple of pieces so that gets time to dry before we throw in our hinges and try to pull those together. You should have 4 little pieces like that. You just want to set those to the side, and it looks like I'm missing one in my pile of papers here. Oh, it'll turn up when we get there. There it goes. I dropped it. Okay. Put your hinges to the side. You are now going to need this piece and this piece. And basically we're just going to glue this on. I'm going to have my smooth side to the outside, just like always, and my textured inside. And we're going to wrap these around and glue those. We're going to do the same thing with this piece. Exactly the same. Just going to wrap them. And if you need to do the corners like we did here on the box, do that with the paint. And once you have those wrapped, we'll come back and finish it up. Hey guys, I'm back. I am probably going to have to recut both of these pieces. I don't know if I bumped my file or what, but those pieces were not cut large enough. And so I am recutting mine, but I will change the file. I have not released that file to anyone yet as of the time that I'm making this video, because this is my test piece. And so I will make sure that your piece is cut perfectly. Mine is not going to be cut perfectly on this, and it'll be okay. I just want to get it covered. I know I have to change the size of it and add about 1 inch. I don't know how that happened, but it did. And so now I'm just working with what I have going, trying to square that up a little bit. And we're going to make it work. So, across here. But again, I will fix the file for you guys. I'm just going to rewrap that for you. I don't know how that happened. And I think it happened on this piece too, because these pieces should have been just a little bit longer. So I'm going to work with that as well and fix that in the file so you have a little bit more to work with. But you should be able to fold that over easier like this is folding over. But I just wanted to come back and tell you guys, if yours looks different than mine did in that video, in that earlier piece, that is why, because I pulled that piece off and started over with it, and I have corrected the file for you guys. Trim that a little bit more. So you shouldn't have a problem with yours. And we're just going to glue that all the way around. And then there's a decorative piece for the inside that goes on here. It's going to be the same as this piece, this pattern that I used here on the top of this. And I'll come back and show you the decorative panels. But I'm going to go ahead and cut another piece for this one as well. And that's all we're doing is we're just gluing those around. And then we'll be back and we'll put the hinges on the inside of the box here. Okay guys, I'm back. I have finished and wrapped the lid and put my decorative piece on that so that it could dry. And because I've got so much glue on the front and back, because I had to peel mine a couple of times because like I said, it was too small and I peeled it off. And then I grabbed the wrong color paper and I peeled that off, and then I got the right color paper and put it on. So mine's trying to warp a little bit, and I just wanted to get the other glue on there so I could keep rotating it. Or you can sit a book on it while it dries too, just so your lid doesn't warp. And then I wrapped the small piece, and yours is going to be prettier than this. My paper wasn't all squared up and pretty like it's supposed to be, because I was working on it. And you don't have to worry about the bottom side because this is going to be glued onto the top here. So don't worry about that as far as that goes. Your decorative pieces, you can put those on there. And I haven't decided if I'm going to be using these pieces or if I'm going to do something a little bit different. I think I'm going to put this piece on and then put a piece of silver on. So I'm just going to hold this piece to the side, and I'm going to put my base layer. You have just two colors on this. One is what is going on the outside of this outer box here, and that's this piece. And then I had another piece cut out of the decorative outside piece, but I don't know that I'm going to use that. But I'll leave it in the file for you guys in case you want it. And so don't worry about this side. Doesn't matter. That's not going to show. If you just want to put a piece of paper on it because you want to, you can. Okay, now we are going to put in our hinges. And these I'm going to mountain fold with my texture to the outside. Therefore, too long and too short. For the inside of this box. Your seams or hinges, whatever you choose to call them. Just going to give them all a good fold. And you're going to dry fit these in. Make sure that they are not too long. And you just want them to fit snugly corner to corner if it does. If not, if it doesn't quite meet the corners, that's okay too. You just don't want them to crinkle up because they are too long. So let's start with the end, and we're going to put those in there. I'm just going to run a bead of glue right in that little seam right there on both ends. And then just, you don't need much, just a little bit of glue to hold these in place. And I just glue the bottom first to get a good hold, let that glue get a good bite. And then just rub it down. I find my bone folder gets in there and spreads the glue a little bit easier than the scraper does. Plus I have to find my small scraper. I know it's here somewhere, but I did some classes at Hobby Lobby, and I had my stuff packed up, and I just got it out of the car today because I had to get my husband out of town, and I had a private class I had to do as well yesterday. So I've had a busy week. Haven't unpacked all of my tools yet. Not worried about any glue smears that get in here. It's all getting covered. So do those end pieces, and then your sides, same thing. And we are going to Put those in as well. And I didn't dry fit that. I hope that it fits in. It does. Whoop. That was close. It was very close, but it did fit. So let one side get a good grip, smooth it down, and then work the other side. It's kind of hard to get a good camera angle on that. I hope you guys can see it. And that was trying to just kind of buckle ever so slightly on me. So I'm just going to just nip right there off that corner, just so I don't have to fight it to go in there. Just rubbing that down on both sides. And so it should look something like this at this point for you. And then you have 4 little pieces that look like this. Same thing, I'm going to fold it with the texture to the outside and mountain folds on all 4 of these pieces. This box really doesn't take that long. I started 2 hours ago. An hour of it was cutting time, and I got stopped for a 30 to 45 minute phone call. So, I mean, and I had to stop and go wash my paintbrush, you know, life things, and I didn't dry fit that, and it's just a little bit too long. That's why you're supposed to dry fit them. Going to trim just a little bit off. And we're going to put those in those corners and pull it in tight. Getting a nice little clean edge. And that should not show, but if it does, we're just going to take our paintbrush and our paint and paint it. We can check it. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. See, where are you? There you go. Oh, that's not it. You may have to trim that off. It's just a little bit long. So it will cover. There's a little bit showing right there, which I'll fix. Yeah, those are the ones. And again, it's going to depend on your chipboard and how much it swells up, things of that nature, how tight these are. And if you want more of your cream color to show, then you'll need to trim off a little bit more. I don't really care if mine shows for this box or not, like I did with the other one. So you're just going to fit them like you want them to fit in there. Just check before you glue, which I keep forgetting to do on this one. Just trim a little piece off. There we go. Because when you're making these boxes and doing these, how much your chipboard expands when it's acclimating does make a difference as to how much these can be off. They should be long enough. They shouldn't be too short at all. But you may find that they're too long depending on how much you expanded. Mine didn't expand much more than what I expected. I really expected them to expand a lot like some others did because I live in a really humid climate. I'm not going to forget to check this one. And you can see, I just got that little tip sticking up there. You don't have to trim off much. Take a little bit off. And we're putting that into all four corners, and we're done with that. And now we can put our decorative, oops, it slid out of there on me. Let me get that back in there. And let that dry. And I'm going to trim this piece up. You can see that it's a little, I mean, I want a little bit of the cream color to show, but not, it doesn't have to show much. A trimmer over here. I'm just going to trim off just a teeny bit at a time until I get it to fit. Because if I cut it too short, then it's not going to look right. So trim yours the way that you need to. You don't want them to fit so tight that they bow up. That's perfect. Just like that. And all I did was take off little bitty pieces like this at a time. Just little bitty slivers. And I've got a little bit of the chipboard that's showing right there, so I'm going to touch that up. Just a little touch of paint. Just hit that. I'll hit this one. I'm just going to hit them all at the same while I'm doing one. That way I don't have to worry about it. They're all taken care of. I'm just going to go around and hit all four corners if I have any chipboard showing at the top at all. And that'll just help it blend in. Found my wipes so I don't have to keep getting up and running to the other room. Clean that off. If you use a Q-tip, you can just do that and then throw it away. And then you don't want it to overhang. If it overhangs that edge at all, you'll need to trim that too. And it's not overhanging, it's really close. And I'm good with it because that's the way I had the rest of mine anyway. We're just going to put all the decorative panels on. So I'm going to put all the decorative panels all the way around inside, and then there is one for the base as well that went just like the lid. And then we have the decorative panels that go on the outside as well. So put all of your panels on, and then we'll come back and we'll finish putting the lid together, and we'll decorate it up and we'll be good to go. Okay guys, I have the inside of mine lined. I have my paper in there. I did have to do some trimming, but again, that is going to be dependent upon how much of the cream color you want showing in the creases, or if you want none like I did here. I really didn't want any. I have just a little sliver right there. I'm not going to worry about it that's showing, but I wanted mine to kind of look completely lined all the way in. So, I mean, if you have a little bit showing, it's going to be okay. But if you want more showing all the way around and in each seam, you will have to trim it down just a little bit with your trimmer or your scissors. If you can cut really straight, do it that way. And then you're going to put your outside decorative panels on at this point, and then we'll come back and finish from there. And you will have an outside decorative panel that goes on the top of your lid as well. So your lid should look something like that with your two papers. Okay, and do that and we'll come back. Hey guys, I have a hiccup, so I am going to have to make my base. I think what has happened is I bumped my mouse or something and did something with the measurements, because remember I said I had to recut that piece. It's not fitting inside my box. So it's off just a hair. So this portion I am going to rebuild, or either I'm going to rebuild this portion, but I think it's going to be this one, because this one is quicker and easier to put together. So I'm going to rebuild this portion and make it slightly longer because I can. We have enough width to do that. And then I'm just going to redo the lid of this, because this lid should be sitting perfectly on top, and it's a little shy, as you can see, that way and that way. So I've had to have bumped something because I had it fitting perfect before. So let me tweak the file. I'm going to remake my lid. I'm going to remake this base, and then I'll come back and see that fits. That's right. That's the right size. Maybe I will just redo the base. But anyway, once you make your box, you're going to put your decorative panels on the outside, and your lid will sit on top here. Then you're going to feed it into the box here. And once you have it where it fits, yeah, I'm a little bit shy here. I got to rebuild the base and the top. But anyways, let's just, for giggles, say that the top does fit on this box like it's supposed to, and that it does fit inside, okay? And you've got it slid into place. That's when you're going to glue this piece onto the lid. And I'm going to slightly bring that down too, so that it fits in there. And I think a lot of it has to do with the acclimation of the chipboard. So check yours before you put your decorative paper on. Trim it if you need to trim it. I may make that just a little bit larger, but it's supposed to fit snug and slide into there. So I don't want to do too much to it. It does fit in there. It does fit flush. You can see it is fitting in there. It's just that somehow this piece got off that group, that whole group of, because this was all in one group, and it got off somehow. So let me redo that, and I'll come back and we'll finish it up. I will rebuild it to this point off camera, and then I'll come back with you guys. Hey guys, I'm back. I accidentally finished up my box and my camera was not on. But I just remade this piece, as I told you guys before, because I had bumped it and changed the dimensions and it wouldn't fit. And all I did was finish up my lid, wrap it, and I stuck the unfinished side of this piece on the box. I actually put the lid on, slid it into the box, and got it where I wanted it lined up, and then I glued this piece in while that box and the lid was on there, so I knew that it would be in the exact spot that it needed to be. So that's all I did off camera at that point. And if you'll remember, like I said, I had hid it and changed the dimensions. Well, I had this piece that I wasn't going to use, and I got to thinking, I'm just going to trim that down in the file for you guys, and then we can layer this on. You can put it this way and put a photo on it, or just have it a different color, or use a different cover for it, whatever you want to do. Mine's, like I said, I just trimmed this piece down to make sure that it would work. This piece will fall freely into the box if it's not attached. But I'm just going to glue it to the top of this box. Of course, I'm going to recut one and recover it. But I'm going to glue it here, and that way when it goes onto the box top, it won't, the lid won't shift. It'll stay in place. When you're inserting it into the box, it won't flop around. So, I mean, you can do it with or without that piece. You don't have to have it, but you're going to have to use 2 pieces of chipboard anyway, and there's plenty of room on that second piece for that. So I'm going to add that to the file, and that will finish up and complete the box. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you need any assistance, just let me know, and I'll be happy to help you and walk you through it. But this is going to be called the slider box, and you can just slide the lid out and then pull it this way. But when you put that piece on the bottom, when you slide that in, when you push this out, it's going to pull the whole box out because that piece will give it a lip to slide the entire box out of the system. So I will remake this piece and probably show on the end of the video here how it will work with that piece on there. So you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the next video. Please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not subscribed. If you're not a Patreon supporter, if you want this file, come on over and support me on Patreon, and you'll have access to not only this file, but all of my files. You have a wonderful day, and thanks for supporting me.